strength like no other, strength like no other, reaches to me.
Well, a pleasant good morning to all of my viewers and listeners, and welcome to the CCG Hour. It is just great that you can be with us this morning. I know Friday mornings, 10 to 11, to get anybody to come and listen for a whole hour, you are really our favorite and best listeners and viewers. So welcome to the program, and I have what I believe is a really, really great program for you today, as I believe is as usual. I have a new friend, and I feel very privileged to interview this young lady. Her name is Amy, and Amy Jones. And she, of course, is going to tell you a little bit about herself, but why I'm also, and you hear I'm sounding very proper, extremely proper this morning. She is an author, a Grenadian author, a local author, and it is really a pleasure for me to welcome her to the program. Good morning.
Good morning.
And of course, I'm not teasing. I am really, really happy just to be able to sit and chat with an author. Of course, when you were growing up, you know, just the fact that you have to speak to an author, that meant that was a celebrity. But I'm really glad that you can, you know, consent to come and to chat, because when your mom mentioned to me, oh, you know, I have a daughter and she's an author, I'm like, you for real? You have a, you know? And I'm like, she's in Grenada now? She's like, yes, she's in Grenada. I was like, cool, so I need to meet her. Because I just like local. I like to encourage local. I just love it. So thank you very much for consenting to come. Well, it's one thing for me to, you know, grin and all of that, but I want to leave for you to say. So tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Okay, so my name is Amy Jones.
You have a JW in the middle.
Yes. J is for joy, and the W is for Wilder, named after my father, Wilfred.
And you didn't want to tell me the meaning, but I am going to interfere with it.
Yes. So I searched it up myself. I didn't ask them. And I found
I'm not sure if they would know.
I'm not sure. I think they just heard the Wilder and the Wilfred.
Yes.
So they thought, you know. But it means, it's a German name. It means untamed, from the wild. Yes, that's the meaning. So that's the cat out of the bag. That's a big secret.
Yeah, no, and it's a real cat out of the bag, because
everybody knows. Everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
But I usually carry JW because I noticed that there are international authors, Canadian in particular, whose name is Amy Jones.
Okay, so that's your distinguishing.
Yes, so I carry the JW.
And it's on your book as well,
yes,
JW.
all of them.
Okay. Interesting. Well, we will be chatting about your books. I mean, that's why you are here. But we want to also give, you know, credit to our other Grenadian authors. So right off the bat, what I would like to do is to begin by chatting a little bit, like I didn't even know that this exists, about the published authors of Grenada and the Grenadian, the Writers Association of Grenada. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about that, your involvement in it, that kind of thing.
Okay, so the group was established just to kind of bring together a couple of the authors that we do have in Grenada. So off my head, I can tell you about David Ambrose, who's a teacher at TAMCC, and he has published 3 books as well.
Okay. We
have Camille John, Errol Samuel, Karen Steele, just persons right off my head, Maureen St. Clair, Cindy. The Cindy McKenzie did a book. She did one a couple years ago. The name is slipping, but it's one of my very, very favorite books, as in local books. And there are a lot of other authors. You'd be surprised the amount of persons
I'm already being surprised in Grenada.
Yes, in Grenada. And some persons that are abroad, but they're born and they grew here, so they are considered to be local authors.
Of course.
So there are a lot of.
Would you say that we have about 30 or more?
There
think
might
it's more
be
than 30.
Definitely.
I remember this gentleman. He taught me in T.A. Marshall Community College. He taught me because I was in the teacher ed department. Oh goodness, like, you know, when you see in the person's face and the name, my goodness.
That the book just slipped my mind.
Yeah,
I think it was Mr. Chase?
No,
Was
I
it?
know Mr. Chase as well.
Okay.
Oh, him and his wife did
They
a
did a
really
book.
excellent book
Yes, I have
with,
it as well.
the Creole.
Creole.
Yes, but the one I'm speaking about, oh my, the name of his book was
Douglas?
Tidal Wave.
Okay. No.
He did, that gentleman lives in St. Patrick's. My goodness, you know when
Dark
you
skin?
yes.
Tall?
You know when you
I know, I think
during
I
the
know
course of the program, I am sure
I
the
think I know
name is
exactly
going to
who you're
come back.
talking about, yes.
The name is going to come back, and because he was he did, of course, English with us, you know, methodology and so, and I was. Well, I love to write as well. I must say, the program is not about me, but yeah, one of these days I'll have to come there. I didn't publish, and maybe that's the
Right.
problem. Is I'm like, okay, you know what, just write. So
There's
I
still
think-
time, though. There's still time to
Of course
publish.
there is. Well, I
There
mean, I have
is.
them all there.
Yeah.
So maybe we will chat about that.
Definitely.
And we will definitely encourage viewers and listeners, those of you who may have your writing pen there and thinking you're old and you don't have time for that. Well, how about if you just do it?
Yeah.
Just because it was a dream, you know, just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. So we will definitely talk about it
Yes.
after the program. So what do y'all do as the published authors of Grenada? Why, and by the way, why two?
Okay. So the Writers Association of Grenada has been around for many years. Many years. Esther O'Neill, I think, if I could be wrong.
And that's an author.
Right. She's also used to be a lecturer at TAMCC.
Okay.
During her days, they started that group. I can be corrected. But the group was just created to encourage Grenadians to write and to promote literacy. So they've had annual events. They have voices. There's a series that they have, Voices of the Crying Youth, the Daring Youth, and poets, performers. They come out every year, most time around June, to promote poetry and promote writing.
Okay.
So that's basically about the Writers Association, and it is functioning. It's functional right now, and it's open to persons who want to be a part of it.
Okay.
And the Published Authors of Grenada started just about a year and a half ago, about 2
so
years.
that's very new.
Right. So we've noticed Mr. Ambrose and those that are really heading or spearheading the group. They've noticed that we do have a lot of published authors in the country.
Right.
So they just wanted to find a common ground
Yes.
to get everyone to come together.
Okay.
So as of present, what we're doing is we're traveling around I'm going to say the Caribbean, but
maybe
probably that's prophecy.
That's the next
But
way.
we're traveling around Grenada and we're having pop-up book sales. So all that we're selling is Grenadian art, Grenadian books,
Oh, that is
and
great.
persons are encouraged to come out wherever we are, wherever we pop up, come out and check out our books, because if we are Grenadians,
And you
we
do
have
that
to
but about that is not annual as the other one.
it happens every month or every other month.
Oh, great, great. So
Every other
whereas the writers one,
Yes,
it's not as often.
it happens yearly.
Right.
Right.
But
But
the
this
published one
yeah,
is every
we
month.
just
Great.
pop up
I like
every
that.
month, and wherever we are. Last place we were in was in Grenville in the car park. We met. They started at around 8 and ended at about 5.
Whoa.
And persons came out and they bought books, or they stopped and they read at the back what are the books about. And a lot of persons were saying they were never aware.
But clearly,
that they were-
I was never aware, and I'm
Yeah,
glad
that
for
they
that. I'm
were-
sure that a program like this will definitely make people aware
You
of
would
it
be
as well.
surprised the amount of persons that we have
Are you serious?
that are published authors
in Grenada.
and not
well,
just
then
one book.
we will definitely chat, because I would
Yes.
love to showcase
Yes.
the individuals that we have.
Just recently, we had a young lady she's Grenadian, currently in the States, published a book, telling a story about her battle with cancer and how she overcame. And about 2 or 3 months ago, we had Kiana, that's another young person who would have published as well a children's book. So you'll be
Great.
surprised before you blink, there's somebody else
Yes.
coming out with something else.
That is so cool.
And there are avenues, and I always encourage persons, young as well as old, if you need information about self-publishing, because it's kind of the easier route to go to,
Oh yeah.
and cheaper in a
Would
sense.
you want to just share a little bit about
Oh,
that?
sure,
Just on the whole
sure.
one time. I mean, clearly we're not giving you all the details here today.
Mm-hmm.
Amy will be sharing her contact as well as the contact for the Published
Sure.
Authors Association, so you can get additional information. This is just a quick, because we have to chat about Amy's books, that's why she's here.
Yeah.
But it's just that I was so intrigued about the association, I couldn't tell.
Yes. So one of the very first things I point out is the difference between traditional publishing and self-publishing. So traditional publishing is what we know about. There's a publishing house out there, and they're interested in getting your work out there, right? But there are
a nice cost to them.
I was just about to say at a cost. So they are going to market for you. They're going to push your book for you, but at the same time, they may give you an advance. Right, that's one of the advantages. They give you an advance, they market for you, but sometimes they may probably try to edit it a little to suit how they would like it to be.
Because of course, of course.
So the difference between traditional publishing and self-publishing is it's as it says, it's self-publishing. You're publishing. So what we have now is Amazon has a self-publishing company called Kindle Direct Publishing.
Right.
A few years ago, it used to be Create Space. So they have 3 publishing sectors. So there's Create Space, used to be, it's no longer active. Kindle Direct, so it's for ebooks.
Right.
And they have ACX, which is the audio version. So if you want to do an audio book. But that is not yet available in our region.
Right.
So we focus on self-publishing through Kindle Direct. So it's as simple as possible, as you could possibly think it is. You just upload your manuscript, they give you all the instructions.
But what about copyright and so?
So there's something called the poor man's copyright that most
I'll fall in
persons
that.
are not aware of. So
No, I didn't know.
what you do is there's 2 old versions. So what you do is you write, let's say your paper here, you're publishing this. You are going to put this in an envelope, mail it to yourself. Don't open it.
Right.
Right? So the date is there, your name is there, right? To and from. Right? So it's yours. So it says if anybody uses your work after
you
this
have that
shows
as proof because the date and
right. So it's called a poor man's copyright because not everyone may have the finances to go, the other route. But the other way is I was taught is to email your work to yourself.
Well, I learned that too, but I was thinking whether there might have been, some kind of, I don't know what to call it, where you might have to pay someone or something.
I am not quite sure about payment, but I do know that there is, I can't remember the organization. I need to check up on that. But it's one of those ministries where they check for copyright infringement and stuff in our country. So you can always check with them. But it's always available. And like I said, your work is your property.
Of course.
Right? And it's expensive. It's not free.
Of course.
Right? So you always have to protect it. And even where we are, we may think, okay, I'm in the Caribbean region, I'm in Grenada, no one is right.
The everything about the internet has made us all in the same village.
And you know what is one of the reasons I was very happy that I used my JW. A few years ago, while just browsing the internet, I said, let me Google myself. And I actually found a friend that way. I have a very good friend in the States, Amy Jones, right? A couple years ago on Facebook, I just bounced up this Amy Jones. And, she's a Caucasian, and we became very good friends. So randomly, a couple years ago, I decided to Google myself. And my books came up. And right under it was book by Amy Jones. So I clicked it. And it was claimed by an author internationally. Right, so they were able to claim this on one of the book sites. So it was up because it's on Amazon. People buy your books, they read it, and sometimes they sell it over. So it's up there, and the link was there for the author to claim, and I went to claim, and the other person. But
so what had to happen in a case like that?
Well, I emailed them, and when I was checking it out, I realized that they said it happens often. Right? If someone goes and they checks it and they see it's theirs, then online it shows up as it says. But my picture is at the back.
Right, of course.
And
so,
the JW is there, so you know it's me. But for someone who's just browsing and you don't know, then
that's interesting.
So I always encourage persons, yes, you may want to write, but be sure that you protect your intellectual property, ensure
of
that
course.
you protect it.
Well, Lord, I mean, you're giving me sound advice. If you were to ask me now, where are all my writings? Oh, well, I mail them to different people. You know, who knows? Maybe somebody's making good money off of my stuff. Because I've looked at a lot of spiritual work, a lot of spiritual books, and they're always, to me, you feel as though you could never attain to what is in it. So because of the teacher in me, I suppose, I like the idea of always making everything into what appears to be a workbook.
Right.
So that's the signature. Anything that I write, there is always some form of question and answer, something where people will do a lot of introspection and be able to say, all right, so I've read this, then what? How do I apply this to my life? You know what I mean? That kind of thing. And I'm very certain, yeah.
Somebody probably.
Well, girl, let's hope not. But I would not be surprised. And of course, I would not be able to blame anyone else but myself.
But now that you know.
But now that I know,
yes,
it's a different thing. Just before because we're going into your books in a little bit, we'll take a break. But before you do that, as we're talking about publishing, at the back of the book, I usually see it, of course, on most products. It's the ISBN code. Is that, do you have to purchase that? And I'm asking, of course, for the benefit of somebody who might just want to know basic things about that.
So through the self-publishing site, CreateSpace, KDP, they give you this. So they assign ISBN to you. Right. So you have the both of them. There's a ISBN 10 and an ISBN 13. So they will assign it to you. So this is now kind of like a fingerprint for your book. Okay. So if you do check online with books that scan barcodes and you put this up, you're able to find this particular book.
And that alone, that will be there for it.
Right. And that's the only one that should be there for it.
But if you are just doing your own, so let's say right here in Grenada, you print, you know, someone prints for you or you know, whatever. How do you get this? Or is it that or can you function without it?
I don't think so, but like I said, that's a question I may not be able to answer because I've never done outside of self-publishing. Right. But I do know there are some sites where you have to pay for it.
That is what I want.
But I'm not quite sure in terms of what happens in Grenada or elsewhere. What happens. Yes,
okay,
I'm not quite
so
sure.
For the viewers and listeners who might be very interested in what we're talking about, because as I said, maybe you have your stuff there and you have a dream, and that dream just went is like, oh, I got too old. No, you're not too old, and we just encouraging you, of course, with this program. So you can definitely link up with the as Writers Association and the published authors. How can we do that?
Okay, so for the published authors is if you become published.
Well, of course, right.
You reach out to them there. Yes. But WAG is Writers Association, or as they're called WAG, they're on social media. Link them if you're a writer and you want to just a little bit of encouragement, or you want to, sometimes when you sit with persons who are like-minded, you're able to gather from them as well. So they're available social media, and I can also provide you with the contact information for some of the one or two of the executive members, and you can reach out to them. Let them know that you're interested in becoming a part of the group, and they would be willing to.
So it's just open, right? Yes. Of course, the published one you have to be published, but the other one, then you just reach out because you said every month. So we are in July. When do you think again that the published authors will go around?
Saturday, 3rd of July.
The 3rd of July.
Yes.
Oh, so actually that is tomorrow, please. Where would you be?
Right, Cameron Park.
Ah, great. So for those of you who are viewing and listening us today, if it is that you want to get your fill, I was thinking of a full belly. If you want your fill of Grenadian writing, you can go down to Cameron Park anytime, well, between 8 to 4. Right. You can go down there and you can get your pick, and of course you'll be able to chat with Amy. So you'll be able to say, hey, well, I saw her on you know, I saw her on TV, or I heard her on the radio yesterday, so I've come to see the books, because we'll be talking about the books after the break. So tomorrow, God's will, at Cameron Park. That will be excellent. Great. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that. All right, we are going to take a break, and we are going to be right back.
Home is easy as 1, 2, 3.
Thinking about your new home? Think easy. Think a Republic Bank Home Easy Loan. Think affordable. Think convenience. Think Republic.
Home is easy as 1, 2, 3. Republic makes home easy.
Wow, that was such a breeze.
Own your home with ease.
So whether laying that first brick or purchasing an existing home, we've got you covered. Republic Bank will get you those keys hassle-free in no time.
Home is easy as 1, 2, 3.
Drop by any one of our 8 locations today. Getting your new home is easy with Republic Bank.
Republic Bank. We're the one for you.
So thank you very much, viewers, for staying with us. Maybe you just went quickly to, I don't know, maybe to check the pot. You know, we don't stay too long on the break. And for those of you who may have just joined us, I am chatting with Amy Jones. Amy, who is a published author, one of our, I don't want to use the word many, as though, like, you know, we have thousands, because we don't have thousands as yet. But I'm already encouraged by the fact that she is one of more than a few published authors in Grenada. And so, as I said, if you're just joining us, this is who this young lady is. And what we are going to do now, Amy, is I want a treat. I want. So tell us about the 3 books that you've published. And of course, we're going to take some excerpts. It will be, I mean, I like to read, but I don't want to, I don't want to mess up. No, I don't want to mess up. Because I'm sure you will have, you know, your way of bringing it out. But I saw the one from Chains at Black.
Everybody loves this book. Everybody loves this book.
So tell us about all 3 of them.
So, Beyond Fables Poetry is my baby. This is my first book. And it was written in over the period of 2010 to 2013. It was published in March of 2014.
Let's just show it. So.
Right. So it is a poetry book, very small, easy to read, and it's actually written for women. Yes, I have sectioned the book into 4 pieces, and they're to mothers, to Black women, the struggles of women, and this thing called love.
Hey.
Right. So it's very light, it's very simple, and it's easy poetry to read.
So what so you do poetry as a thing?
Yes.
What inspired that?
I always tell people this story. I started writing when I was about 8 in primary school, and I started with a poem called Mr. AIDS.
So AIDS must have just kind of come out.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
not just come out, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. So as a child, you know, you hear stories and you listen to the news, and I decided to write a poem, and that was a little bit before Ivan. And a godmother of mine, I sent it to the newspaper, and it was published in the newspaper. Godmother of mine had a nice little clipping that she had in the Bible, and one day she just, you know, years later, she said, you know, I have this thing here that I found. And she gave me to read, and then Ivan passed. And it was destroyed. And I can't find where, I can't
that
find.
That woman must wish she keep that thing in the Bible.
I know. Nice way to protect this stuff.
I know, right?
Good protection.
You know how much money you find in your Bible?
I know. And that's sad, because that means sometimes we don't open it as often as we should.
No. I would see things that I open it often. But I would see things there, and because I know I don't usually know where I put important things, I would just move it.
But I know
do
generally,
what I have to do and put it back in.
I know generally for persons, I listen to people talk, and they say the best place you want to hide something or money is a book. Yeah. Not just the Bible, but a book, because you hardly ever, some persons hardly ever read.
No. So, well, that, for me, that can't be the reasoning, because that means I won't know where I put it.
True.
I'll know I put it in a book. And then now I'll be looking for days through every book to figure
well, you're different.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah.
Different. So yes, it's just poetry for young women, and it's just celebrating Black women in particular. And I want to read a poem, if that's okay. But this one is one of my very first pieces in its entirety, that I can say off my head even though I lose it. It's called Black Woman. A skin tattered, black as jasper, timid yet assertive, they named you Casper. Naturally bound from head to toe, Strong-willed, determined, you'll always glow. Black woman, amazingly structured, hips swaying from side to side. Big-boned, firm breasts, passion, never swaying with life's tide. Black woman, they abused, they misused, they refused, but you were never once confused. You stand in a crowd and you outshine the rest. You never stammered to the things you wanted to express. Against the things you detest, you protest. The world blames that you are stressed, possessed, depressed, a pest, but I say you are nothing but the best. You have been blessed. Black woman, out to show us that we are no longer slaves, because that part of us died when Massa went down in the grave, but we, fools, caught up in a past and a mind of revenge, want nothing more but our forefathers' death to avenge. She calls us to rise up from hurt and shame, our will to blame, our sinful aim, our nigger name. This black woman knows that we should never be the same. She calls, rise up from bondage and slavery, from chemicals and color lighteners. We are nothing but our skin's own jewelry. Yet, we are bound forever in this mental eternity, lost forever from our destined modernity. Black woman, they say you are damned, nothing good but to be slammed. I refuse to accept this, because that black woman is who I am. Skin tattered, black as jasper, timid yet assertive, man named me Casper.
I like it.
Yeah, so that's Black Woman. That's one of my very favorite pieces. Yeah.
But I can see that poem having a real kind of dance to it.
Yeah.
Where you have someone reading this thing and then a really strong, extremely confident, oh God, like I can just put myself in that poem. Very assertive woman, just strutting across. Oh gosh, let me not get started.
Yes.
You can definitely see the strength and the queen coming out from that poem. Definitely a wonderful piece. I like.
Yeah, so this is beyond fables. So most of the poems are about women, young women in particular.
Why do you call it beyond fables though?
Right. So a fable is a tale, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So this is real life.
That's real
life stuff. It's not about my life in particular, but it's the real story of a lot of black women and their struggles that they have. There's a part that speaks to a section that speaks to the struggles of women and womanhood. So there are a lot of things that persons may not be aware, or they may be just oblivious to the struggles that women experience. So these are not tales.
Do you have anything about abuse in there?
Let me see. I think so. There is a piece called Eyes that I like. It's not speaking specifically to abuse, but it speaks to the stares that we get sometimes and how persons may try to undress us even without actually
saying
putting
anything or putting their hands on.
So there's eyes. Those eyes, those taunting eyes, those piercing eyes, those haunted eyes, staring at me, staring into my soul, leaving me feeling somewhat violated and so cold. Stop staring at me. Stop looking at me. Stop undressing me, harassing me, pursuing me with those eyes, those taunting eyes, those piercing eyes, those haunted eyes, molesting me each time I walk by. You can't have me. You can't touch me. Don't approach me. You can't caress me, kiss me, feel me. I refuse to fall for those recycled lines and give you my virginity because you're persistent in pursuing me with those eyes, those taunting eyes, piercing eyes, haunted eyes, abusing me each time I pass by. And I pray for the day that you let me be. Let me grow. Let me mature until I'm grown enough to make decisions on when or if my body would ever undergo a man's manipulation. You see, I'm so sick and tired of some of the men of the past, the present, and the upcoming generation who can't even lay eyes on a young woman without total molestation. Some who can't even glimpse without a full-blown erection of their masculine extension, exhausting their respiration, panting like thirsty animals until lust-filled visions have reached expiration. they are violators in a state of mental retardation or because of those eyes. And believe me, it's not like we young women want to dictate your observation. Since you claim it's unnatural, we don't even need your explanation. I'm just tired of the reoccurring situations, the way you stare, the things you do to us with those eyes, those taunting eyes, those piercing eyes, those haunted eyes, stalking us each time we walk by.
You got you good.
Yeah. I remember receiving so much backlash for this, you know.
Why?
When I
People
initially
just
wrote
don't
it,
want
yeah, they said, oh, how are you so sure that that's what a man is doing?
But that is what it
is
is.
the truth.
In many
It's the
cases,
truth.
we're not saying that every single man
Yeah.
is going to do that, but the truth, the sad reality is, and especially for immature little girls, that, because I remember when growing up, you just beginning to approach puberty. You're not even in puberty yet,
Right.
and you're just beginning to approach, and you walk the street, and let's be real now.
Let's
Come on,
be real.
the people who will be brutally honest with themselves will be able to admit that here what this is the reality in our Caribbean context. It is the
is.
truth of it.
It is.
And we're not saying every single man is doing that, but you know those that are doing it because the eyes speak a whole lot. It is the truth.
It
It is the truth. But I like it. I like the boldness.
Yes, yeah.
I like how you're not playing with words. So even though someone is not very, they're not too deep in, you know, in the literacy and so, but
you
they're
can
able
get
to
it.
get. Oh yeah, you can get it. It's there is nothing to play with, because sometimes you read some poems, and it's so full of figurative devices alone. Is like, okay, then if you did not get English at CXC, well, even if you did get English at CXC, you
maybe
still
a little hard
lost.
to pick it up.
For real, because it's like by the time you see a metaphor here, and then you ain't even come out of the metaphor yet, you hit on another, you hit on a
Something
pun,
else.
and then goodness gracious, and they've left out all the similes.
Yes.
So yeah, but I congratulate
And
you on
that's
this. It's
thank you.
good.
And that's one of the things that we strive to encourage persons. We want to make sure that when we have our books in the school system, our students are able to understand
and still be able to discuss what
Exactly.
it is that the poet is saying here, you know, without all, you know,
the
being so,
Shakespearean
come on.
words and everything. And that's funny enough, because as a student at secondary school, I didn't really like English B, because the poetry, the stories that we used to have to do was Shakespeare and
Gosh,
all
really.
those.
You remind
Except for
me
the
of-
biting. I love the biting.
Yeah, Brighton,
But
because it had a lot of Caribbean,
right, and that's
it
what
had
I'm
a lot of
saying.
Caribbean poems in it.
But when I had the stories and Macbeth and all that, you know,
I
it
know,
was just
right?
a little heavy
And then,
for.
watch me, let's be real. By the time you go through this and thou,
Yeah, you're tired. You
with
don't
all,
want
yeah, you lose. And we're not, with all due respect for those of you Macbeth lovers and Shakespeare lovers, you know, all of you lovers there, we're not saying that anything is wrong with the classics. We appreciate the classics. We're just saying,
Definitely.
if we are, again, very honest with ourselves, if you really don't get it, you don't get it. And for those who just doing English B, just because, well, you kind of don't have a choice, especially
Yes.
from 1 to from
Yes,
3,
you don't.
just there, and it's like, oh my God, I don't know, I don't even know what to put here now. You're lost, you know.
Yeah.
For those who are not you weren't born with it. It is going to be
is.
difficult, but I love the way this is. So the next one,
Yes, and that kind of leads me to Change That Bind, which is strictly Grenadian. And I have really appreciated the support that I've gotten from individuals who have, or teachers alike, who have bought books and brought it to schools and read it for students. Because it's fully Grenadian. There's nothing outside that, you know, it's strictly, it's just that the names may not be similar.
Right.
But it is strictly
and
Grenadian.
very, and well, fictional, yes, but definitely taken
True.
from the experiences
So
of
one
the
of the
culture.
very first questions that I ask persons is, what do you see when you look at the cover?
What
That's
do you
like my icebreaker. What comes to mind when you see that cover?
Okay. No, all of a sudden you make it sound like if it's a trick. Okay, viewers and listeners, hold on. Well, the listeners, of course, can't, you know, help me here. But viewers, what comes to your mind?
Yeah.
I'm giving myself time to think. All right, so let me see. Well, I mean, what comes to my mind, so not just what I see. I see a play on the white dress. I
see a play?
Yes. I don't know why, but something about the white dress just does not go with the name. So I can't say what exactly. It's like it is saying something that you're not sure.
You have to look closer. Look at every single little detail.
Maybe I need my glasses. All right, so let me see. Well, I mean, the first strange thing besides the white dress is the fact that the woman is holding the man with the chain.
With the chain.
And that in itself is like, what's going on there? I know for sure that the illustrator deliberately put some of our items. Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's a pepper. I don't.
Oh, no,
but
it's not.
It's not.
It's not. Maybe I'm
the
making
hat,
a thing
yes, I
deep.
think you're making it.
Okay.
Because as I said, I'm seeing something that will just strike me right away. But
if I tell you, you'll be so surprised. You say, "Oh yeah, it's that."
Well, okay. I believe I'll be one of those. So tell me what it is.
So, remember I said we're talking Grenadian folklore. We're talking
La Jablesse?
Yes.
Oh well, yeah, but I just wasn't thinking that.
That's right.
Okay, yeah, but
so it's
La
nighttime.
Jablesse came to mind.
It's nighttime,
Yes.
and she's in a big long dress, as
And of
strong.
course, she's pulling that guy along
right,
because that's
and
what
if
the
you
story says.
and you
Yeah.
know
Oh.
to the river, that's where she goes over a cliff,
Oh my God.
and the one human foot and the cow foot. So
Yeah.
so our folklore.
Yes.
Our folklore. But this book began as just a blog. I began writing it because while I was studying in Trinidad, I just really wanted to come home that semester.
Right.
I was real homesick, and I had spent about 3 years or so already, and I was like, Lord, for some reason I just needed to be home, but I couldn't. So I just started writing a little bit, something in our Grenadian language. And here comes this idea. My friend says one day, I'm reading this blog every day. Put a story together. So I decided to put this story together. So I'll just read the synopsis and read a part. So it had been 8 years since James left Grenada. How could a man promise to be gone for 6 months but not return until 8 years later? Well, when he did, the community of Bronxville, especially the neighborhood gossip Miss Millie, wondered what his wife Janice would do. Would she welcome him home with open arms or send him back to whence he came? Before Janice could decide if James was worth keeping, he would have to convince her of his account on the neighboring island of Sans Souci, the tale of the chains that bind. So
somebody kept
something happened. Something happened.
Okay, read it. So you see, but you already know. I have to get
something happened. So so the children, the family know this man was supposed to be gone for 6 months,
And that has happened so many times.
That's exactly what I said. In our culture, your father or your grandfather, whoever, they're gone on the banana boat to go somewhere, and then you find out 20 years later they have a whole family somewhere else. Right? So all those ideas were coming to mind because I've listened so much to stories that my parents have told me. My mother said her mother used to tell a lot of folklore, and she did the same thing to us when we were young. So she always would, before we go to bed, she'd give us a story, teeth like these, or La Jablesse, Mama Malady.
Up to now, my children, they're like, Mommy, tell us something from long ago. I'm like, child, how old do you think I am?
Right, so I'm just going to read from chapter 2.
Yes.
Well, chapter 1 going on to chapter 2. So Daddy now returns home and the children are kind of curious. So as Janice walked ahead on their way home, JJ, Petra and Cherry were dragging their feet along not too far behind. JJ and Cherry talked about the new games they played in Sunday school with teacher Mindy, and Petra spoke about the project the junior adults had to do on relationship rules. Without warning, Janice suddenly stopped dead in her tracks, as if she had seen something that startled her. The children were a little way off from the house, but could see that Janice's eyes were glued on their small concrete structure. What on earth was she looking at? It was almost as if Janice had seen a ghost. JJ looked at Cherry and Cherry looked at Petra, and they hurried to their mother with great concern. Mommy, what are you? Cherry asked. When she did not respond, Cherry turned to her siblings. All you, what are Mommy? They focused their eyes on the direction Janice's eyes wandered, and it immediately fell on a tall figure standing in the veranda. Whomever or whatever it was seemed to startle Petra too. JJ, who they? Cherry questioned her brother. JJ turned to Cherry with a look on his face as if to say, what is that stupid girl? Then responded, Cherry, well, how I gonna know? Me and you was all the way in the back there. How I gonna know who they? I go and see. JJ was curious but fearless, while Cherry was timid and coward. She never liked confrontation, but was scared of almost everything. She was scared of insects, needles, snakes, kittens, exams, licks, homework, just name it. Man, if you could name it, Cherry probably had been afraid, some reason to be afraid of it. She was even more scared of the silhouette they saw standing in the veranda. JJ walked up to the house and Cherry trailed behind him. And for a big sister, it was shameful that her little brother was the protector. Oh, where are you going? Janice finally spoke. Come back here. But by the time she could stop them, JJ was already on the step inquiring from the person who he was and what he wanted. Janice walked forward towards the house, holding Petra by the hand. Cherry looked back to see Petra wincing in pain as Janice gripped her hand firmly. She turned around and walked closer and closer to the house. The shadowy figure then seemed to take form. It was a man. From the distance, he did not look like anyone they knew from the village. He walked towards JJ and Cherry moved forward. Janice was just a few steps away with Petra, Cherry's eyes fixed on the man who was staring at JJ. He took his khaki hat off and put down his Adidas bag that he was carrying. Tears streamed down Cherry's face when she realized who the man was. Daddy, Cherry said, startled. It was almost as if she was looking 40 years ahead at JJ. She looked at JJ and looked back at Cherry with a look of confusion. She didn't need anyone to tell her who it was. She didn't need Janice or Petra to tell her that she was looking at her father, because she knew for herself that it was him. Just as Miss Minnie said, JJ looked just like him and he looked just like JJ. So Daddy returned.
Oh my goodness.
Right, and she was a child, so she has never seen him
So how much
before.
again you selling these books for?
This one is $40, 40 EC, and it's also available on Amazon.
Right.
So you can
So you
always just have a soft copy as well.
Definitely.
So the story gets more and more interesting.
You don't know.
More and
I
more
have to
interesting.
get-
Yes, and
because I'm already there. I'm already like, oh my God, what is wrong? Because immediately what comes to mind is, what is taking this man? We have to talk Grenadian.
Right,
We
what's
cannot
this
speak
man?
What is taking this man? This man come out from wherever he come out
You
from since when I
understand?
come in and stand up in veranda
I'm telling
and
you,
put up bag.
putting on bag, you ready to come home. And imagine 6
crazy.
months to 8 years. That's such a long time.
Come on now. You didn't even say 2 years, which is long already,
is
but
long.
at least you might have an excuse for 2 years. Maybe, I don't know,
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
Come up with something. 8 years, hello. Yeah. No, it's really
It
good.
is. So this one was published in 2019.
Oh,
and,
so that's,
yeah.
are you serious? Just the other day? Okay, great.
Yes,
great.
and it's
So this one will be your most recent work?
this is my most recent.
Oh, so you went down the line. All right. Okay.
Yes, but this book, most persons who may not be into poetry tend
Yes,
to like
yes. Oh, yeah,
tend to like this. And if you are Grenadian or you want to tell somebody about your culture, we have the
Just
glossary
pick
at the
this
back with all the Creole, everything you could think about, Ligaroo and Mama Melody and everything. If you need some definitions for some words, I wonder what that meant and fue and what does this mean?
Oh, you see, you use fue too.
Yeah.
Somewhere I use fue. And somebody looking at me is like, where you get this old one? I said, what you mean where I get this old one? I said, you ain't no we papa and F word, you know?
Right. And I grew up listening to my parents, you know.
Yes,
Talk.
but watch me. We can't help it. The language sweet.
It
There's a place for standard English. Fine. So like we using it now. But then, hey,
Definitely.
when you have to give a good joke.
I have a friend who she's also a writer, Camille John. She always says it's not speaking bad, it's
Of course
speaking
not.
Grenadian
But
standard
of course,
English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the truth is that what it is simply Creole.
It is.
It is our Creole. It is a
is.
language all by itself. It's not English. I don't know why people think that what we, even like, okay, so like Jamaicans, what do you call that?
Yeah, that's
It's
their
their,
patois.
it's their Creole. That's their language.
their
And I mean,
patois.
if you want to speak standard English, fine. There's nothing wrong with it, and you know when to use it. But hello, there are some things that can only be told.
And we have to
in
be
Creole.
proud. We have to be proud of it.
I
We
love
should
it.
not be ashamed of it, because
love
listen,
it.
when you go to places like St. Lucia and Haiti,
Come on.
the people speak their Creole. Why are we ashamed of
Well,
speaking
I
our
think,
own?
remember, it has a lot to do with what we've been told in our culture. It comes back again to that Black woman poem that you wrote, where people, they're moved a lot, I believe, by what people say about who they are. And they
Okay.
have not defined who they are for themselves. So, of course, that's a big challenge there right away, because if I have to
Yeah.
wait for someone to define me, I mean, let's be real. I know, for example, I don't fit the pastor's bill like at all. And I won't lie, I love it. I don't, and what I'm saying that is not just to create a controversy or to create a contradiction. It's just that I really believe that sometimes we need to redefine what people's definition and picture of whatever is quote unquote supposed to be. What is this supposed to, when God is looking at my heart, at your heart, or why should we define by just what we see on the outside? You know, and so that's why, I mean, I'm already bowled over.
Yeah.
So the last one.
Right. So A to Z Odyssey is what I call my pandemic project.
Hey.
So while I was locked in during COVID,
Well, look at what COVID produced.
in the initial stages of COVID, I really said, Lord, I need to find something to do with my time.
Right.
And I called up a friend of mine and I said to him, hey, I would really like your assistance in helping me to edit and proofread this thing. I don't know where it's going.
Yes.
It had a different name. I didn't have no cover. I didn't figure out what I was going to do, how it was going to be, but I know I wanted to put poetry together.
Yes.
And they are not all written in 2020, but they're taken from over a period of a couple of years or so and just put together. And I wanted to do A to Z for sure, but I wasn't sure where I was going with it. So I know I definitely wanted a poem for a letter of the alphabet and an introduction or a conclusion that kind of summarized what it is about. So most persons, like they ask, persons that are interested and they hear that I've written another book, they ask, what's it about?
Yeah.
And it is definitely a hybrid, I say, between a novel and poetry. So it's written in poetry form, but if you read it all together, it tells a story.
It tells a story.
It tells a story. And it just covers basically how your family structures and your relationship with your parents and stuff can affect how you view relationships in the long run.
And it does.
And it
really
does, and it does. So if you look closely at your family background, sometimes you can tell where I get this behavior from or where this comes from and that comes from. So that is what I wanted to accomplish when putting this together. So I'm going to read you, and I do say if you hear one poem, you really need to hear the whole book together.
Okay.
But you know, I can't read the whole book. So
No. But why would you want to read the whole book? The people need to purchase the book. Hello. You need to come over tomorrow to come and unpack tomorrow, God's will.
Yes, and get your books.
books.
And get your books. So you is Until We Meet Again. Death. An end to a temporary existence. The beginning of life eternal. And though loved ones are gone from this earth, they soar in a realm supernal. Death's sting may seem to linger long after your loved ones are gone, but it's necessary to have faith and find comfort. It won't be for so long. Don't listen to "you shouldn't cry." Don't hurry to say goodbye. None will fathom the grief one bears, and oft one will wonder why. Pain may seem to grow each day, smiles may fade away, but deep within one's heart and mind, the memories still stay. Don't be discouraged or lose hope, and never live in despair, surrounding our loved ones who will show you how much they care. So smile with anticipation through all the hurt and pain, knowing that in due time, loved ones will be met again.
I like it, and I like that we ended on that note, because you know how people just afraid
To
are
talk
just
about.
afraid to talk about death, and just don't even want to consider it. Of when the Word of God makes it so clear that it is
Very
appointed
clear.
unto man once to die,
Once to
and
die.
something we just don't want to have to deal with it. But without a doubt, it makes so much more sense
It
to
does.
begin to think about it, to begin to prepare for it, put yourself in its place, because it's just inevitable, and you sadly just cannot say when.
Yeah.
You know, we could be chatting here today, and
know,
then
I know.
the sad thing is that you can just hear, hey, and you're like, but Pastor Wendy, and just
I
whatever.
know,
I
yeah.
could be saying, oh, but I just chatted with this young lady, and you know, and what amazes me is how death shocks you every time.
Every time.
It just shocks you every
We're
time. It doesn't
never
matter.
prepared.
Yeah, it just
Never
but
prepared.
again, I believe it's because people do not prepare themselves, and not that he could fully prepare himself.
I know,
kind
I
of like
know.
a storm, but still there is a place, I believe, that of a measure of preparedness that can come if it is that you know that you can put it into that perspective and say, here, what? Yes, the first thing is that I know I'm going to die, but I love the way you put it, because you feeling the comfort instead of just, well, don't do this or well,
Yeah,
do that.
yeah.
It really comes together.
A lot of the
nicely.
times, I think we make situations worse for persons who are grieving.
Oh, yes.
When we tell
Oh,
them, you know, don't cry.
Especially
And we
don't-
make
I'm
up.
like, what else? Why would
What
you tell
else?
them don't cry? I don't know why people would
I
tell
don't
people.
know.
Why do you tell people that don't cry, child? But again, it could be because you just don't know what to say.
You don't know what to say,
Could
and that's
be.
why I say sometimes if you don't know what to say, don't say anything
Yeah,
at all.
Just be there. Just
And
be there.
I've-
Just say, I'm here. I just want to let you know that I'm here for
Yeah,
you. That I'm here for you. You know,
That's-
maybe
it's
that's
simple.
the better.
It's
yeah,
simple, and it's the
don't try
best
to
thing to
find
do.
words. And I think that could be it. You know, people don't know what to say.
Yeah.
So in the offer of comfort, they say the wrong thing.
And make it worse.
Yeah.
So don't
Yeah.
say anything.
Definitely. Well, share your numbers. Would you believe that an hour is almost
Oh,
gone?
it's almost
right?
gone.
Yeah.
I know.
We have just
I know.
we have just about 5 more minutes or so in the program, but that's great. So, parting words, share your
Sure.
contact information and so.
What I would like to share though is my social media. That's the easiest way
Sure,
that you
definitely.
can. Social media handles. I am on Facebook, Amy J.W. Jones. I am on Twitter, and I am also on Instagram. So, Amy, if you search Amy J.W. Jones,
Once you
you
put that
are
up.
going to find. I don't think there's another Amy J.W. Jones. So you're definitely going to find me on those platforms. When we are later on, I'm just gonna send also the information to just you as well. So if
Yeah, yeah.
persons may need to
Yes, so
actually,
yeah, definitely. So in case, maybe even after this program,
Sure.
we can definitely just put it up, and people can get it
Yeah.
if they
Yeah.
do desire. Yeah, great.
so I'm looking forward to seeing. Well, I don't think I'm going to be there tomorrow, God's
Okay.
will, because I do have
but
another
your
event.
material will
But
be there.
I was just about to say, my
Okay.
books are always. We always have books with
So it doesn't
somebody's
matter,
book.
right,
So
so the
even if I'm not
publishers,
there,
yeah,
somebody's
books
gonna
will
have
still
a
be
book.
there.
But they are going to be there to answer your questions, and they're going to be there to share their work. And you may get a book deal as well if you come down. You may be able to get a book deal.
But of
so-
course, who knows? Maybe you can chat with them and tell them that here what you need to do something. I don't know how we can get it quick,
Yeah.
but to be able to say, hey, well, we viewed the CCG hour yesterday, and Amy
Yeah.
was on. And she, because of her, we all down here. So who knows? Maybe when they mention it,
knows?
I don't
Yes,
know. We'll have to
somebody-
see what can happen.
somebody
But
may get
mention it because we're talking right off the bat here, so we can't promise something that we have not, discussed. But mention it because you may just have a really wonderful surprise
Never
waiting
know.
on you.
They may never be sure if if you wait too long. You may say, "Oh my gosh, I'm not sure. Maybe I should
Yeah,
go.
no,
Maybe
no.
just
Go.
Never be
Alright.
too scared. Just go for it.
So
and
it's
do it.
$40 for
Yes.
Chains That Bind. Prices on the other two.
Yes, $40 for Chains That Bind. This is $25, and A to Z Odyssey is $45.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So very, very affordable.
And if you want the three of them together, you may just
Get
just
it.
let me know. You'll get a deal.
may
You
just
will.
get it for
Yeah, you'll get
less,
it for.
just have a one package deal, and that's the end
Yes,
of it. I
yes.
like it. Amy, thank you very much
You
for
are
coming.
most welcome.
I definitely enjoy this chat. Maybe the next time we come, we can read out of your new book. I have a feeling one is coming.
Actually,
Maybe
how are you so sure? You knew.
hello, you forget the prophet in me.
I know. Yes, I do. I actually am working on 2 others.
There we go. So so maybe we'll be able to share a little piece of mind, surprise the audience and the
Yes.
listeners a bit, and we can do that with tea. I like tea. I can't help it. I like herbal tea.
Bush
so
tea?
with I like
Yeah.
tea. No sugar.
No.
If you want to send me tea, once ginger, any kind of really nice herbal tea, no sugar. But maybe we can really do that, and it'll be great. Can you imagine a book club? With just Grenadian, Caribbean, right? You know, and we read those books and we meet and just, I would love to create a space like that. But you see, I'm getting excited because reading is just my passion. And it really is and has been a pleasure for you to be here. Thank you so
very
much
for having me.
Listeners and viewers, thank you very much for staying with us for the entire hour. This is the CCG hour. If you want to link up with me concerning the books that we've spoken of, well, you can do so. You can link up with us at 419-9445, or you can just look for the CCG's number. Well, you know, everything is on the internet now, so just simply put up the CCG, put it in the Grenadian directory. You know, just flow with what we have. You can even call the studio right here, and they'll be able to get some information to you by being able to get in touch with me. Have a great day, and God bless you, and have a really wonderful weekend. Be safe. God bless and goodbye.